All right, welcome to part two. In this part, we are going to go over some of the more specific CAD features in terms of the user interface, some of the tools for navigating around your model, and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the 21, 22 folder, go to CAD class, find your user folder, open up that week one document that we created before if you haven't already. All right, so this is the kind of main user interface for modeling and creating models and doing your design work. This is where you're going to spend most of your time. The interface up at the front was just, kind of a landing page where you select which documents and things you want to work on. You create folders and do your organizational stuff. This is where you're actually going to do your actual work. So the first thing to go over is these tabs down at the bottom. This is a document, and you can think of a document like a project. So there are a lot of different ways to organize a model for design in Onshape. It differs a little bit in terms of best practices based on what it is that you're designing. Now, these recommendations here, these are based on my own experience and based on the way that 3005 does it. If you're watching this video and you're not from 3005, you might need to figure out your own kind of process that works best for you, depending on how many people are on your team, how much experience they have, et cetera, et cetera. How complicated the robots are that you design, however that is. In the case of the RoboChargers, this document that we created, we are going to create a document for each subsystem on the robot. So for FRC, I should clarify. So for FRC, we're going to create a document for each subsystem on the robot. So if we pretend that this Orion folder is like the 2023 robot, we're going to have a document for the drivetrain, a document for the intake, a document for the shooter, a document for the climber, whatever it is, right? And once we will figure out what those documents are when we first kind of conceptualize the robot, and we might end up with some extra ones like, for example, in 2022, we had multiple different climbers that we built throughout the season, and we created new documents for each one of them. So there wasn't just one climber document. There was like the skip climber, and there was the pivot climber, and things like that. So basically, for FRC, that's how we organize it. There's some flexibility there. The reason that we do it that way is because the more stuff you can put in one document, the easier it is to keep that stuff all related to each other, right? So everything on a robot is interrelated, but if you get too much stuff in a document, it gets really difficult to work with. So we have to break it up somehow for something as complicated as an FRC robot. Now for FTC robots, they are simple enough and small enough, and they're so compact, and everything on the robot is so interrelated with each other that we just put one document for one FTC robot, and that's it. So probably when the FTC season starts, we will have one document for each of our FTC teams. We might put the team number in there, or whatever, put the names of whatever students are on that team or something, right? And then you'll do all design work for that FTC robot in that one document. Okay, so for the CAD class, we're going to organize it by week. We're going to have one document for each week. Later in the class, there are some weeks where we're going to spend 1 week working on part of the project, and then we're going to continue that into a second week. And then in that case, you'll just have like week 5 and 6 or whatever for the name, and that one document will be used in 2 different weeks of the class. But that's how we're going to organize it. So with all that in mind, this kind of I guess unit of CAD, right? That is a document, is a very flexible thing, and so it's kind of up to you to organize it how you want. And inside of a document, things are broken up into these tabs down at the bottom. So you can see a couple, the 2 most common types of tabs. We've got one of each created for us. We've got a part studio, and we've got an assembly. The assembly is probably the easiest thing to understand. We're going to model a bunch of parts in 3D, and then we need to put them together to make an actual robot, right? So like if you think about it, we've got like a wheel, and we've got a plate bracket, and we've got a piece of tube with some holes in it. We've got some 3D printed parts, and we got all these parts, right? And then in real life, we take those parts, we put them on a table, and we put them all together with screws and things like that. And so you essentially have to do the same process in CAD, where you've got all your parts that are modeled. You take them over to this assembly environment, and you basically drop them into this big white area in the middle, and you attach them all together in different ways. And we're going to talk about how that process works in a couple of weeks. But you kind of just think about this assembly is where you put all your CAD parts together. And then over here in the Part Studio, this is where you model the parts. Now, if you're coming from a different CAD background, if you're coming from SolidWorks or Inventor or something like that, you might be expecting this tab to be called a part and not a Part Studio. And this is probably one of the bigger things that catches new Onshape users who have previous CAD experience, is the kind of the Part Studio mindset. The whole idea of designing something that's complicated like a robot is all the parts are interrelated, and it is highly beneficial to model related parts together in the same environment. So in Onshape, you're going to spend a bunch of time in one Part Studio, and you're actually going to model multiple parts. And then those parts can be either put together in the assembly, or you can put them in one at a time, right? But the Part Studio is kind of like, you need to decide how to break up your document into multiple Part Studios in a way where each Part Studio is kind of interrelated to itself, and then there's kind of a nice logical break between, you know, this Part Studio and the next Part Studio. So for an example, one of the things that I commonly do is like dumb structural things that don't move are going to be in one Part Studio, and then there's going to be another Part Studio that has like motion stuff for one part of the mechanism. So for example, on our indexer feeder crazy superstructure that we had for the 2022 season, you know, each kind of like roller that was driven separately off of a motor was each its own Part Studio, and then there was a big high level one that was just the structural parts, and then those were all combined into the assembly. So we will go over what the best practices are for this stuff as we work through some of the examples in the class, but that's kind of the idea of a Part Studio. Is you're going to make models of parts in the Part Studio, all kind of interrelated to each other, and then bring them into the assembly. As you create parts, they will show up in this list down here, and every little action that you take to model the parts is going to show up here in what's called the feature tree. And so interacting with the feature tree is going to be one of the most important parts of modeling in Onshape and really any CAD program. So basically everything that you do here is going to affect the model, and you can go back. You can use the tools, and stuff will get added to the feature tree, and then if you need to make changes, you go back to the feature tree and edit things that were already in the feature tree, and that's pretty much the workflow. You can resize the feature tree. You can drag this out or push it in. You can slide the parts down. If you've got a really long feature tree, you can slide it down so you can see more items in this tree. You can slide this up if you have got a lot of parts you need to interact with. You'll interact with parts in this list to set materials and appearances and things like that, which we'll get into later. If you need to add more tabs, right? If you need to add another assembly, or if you need to add more Part Studios, you click this little plus button. You can say Create Part Studio, Create Assembly. There's also Create Drawing. That's essentially like a kind of a 2D plan view of a part or assembly, and that's you attach dimensions to it and things like that, and then you print it out on a piece of paper, and you would hand that to a person making a part on a mill or router or lathe or whatever. We will talk about creating drawings later in the CAD class. And there's also a Create folder. You can organize these tabs into subfolders if you have a lot of them and you need to kind of break them down a little bit and organize them better. There are also some custom features where you can create feature script studios to create these custom features, and we're not going to go into that at all in this CAD class, but this is kind of how you do that if you want to work on that on your own. You can also get some custom applications, like MKCAD is a custom application. Certain custom applications create their own like custom tabs that you can use. There are plugins where you can add like You can add like Google Sheets and stuff like right in Onshape. I believe we tried one out. We tried one out that was like kind of a release control, version control thing for manufacturing. So we would like you'd add a custom tab, and then you would specify which parts were ready to be manufactured and what version they were and things like that. I don't know if we'll be using that in the upcoming season or not, but there might be custom tabs for that we will show you guys how to use on RoboChargers. But yeah, so those are the basic tab types that you need to know. If you get a lot of tabs, it can be kind of annoying, and you can't they go off the edge of the screen, and you have to like click the little arrow buttons to like scroll back and forth, and it's super obnoxious. If you've got a lot of tabs, it's a whole lot easier just to click this tab manager button right here, and it'll show up in a list, and they'll be organized like into their folder structures and everything. This is quite a bit easier. If you're doing this, you can resize it as well, and when you're done with it, you can either just click this button, or you can click the X button up here at the top, and it'll collapse and get out of your way. There's a few other things. There is a version history here that you can see. Onshape borrows a lot of its version control stuff from software engineering, so like Git and things like that. It borrows a lot of the same nomenclature and kind of workflow, and so there's ways to branch your designs and merge and things like that, and that is shown in this kind of graphic tree thing here. Pretty much for the most part, it's just going to be a straight line, just you're making edits, but sometimes we'll do branches if we have to evaluate, a design that we're not confident on or something. We probably will not go into much of that in the CAD class because that's a little bit complicated. We will definitely show how to use the version view just to kind of keep track of your versions, but we probably won't do much advanced stuff here. There's also this button here, which allows you to create new versions. We'll explain that later in the class for sure. Okay, so let's talk about, that's kind of the general interface. You've got tools across the top that I'm not going to go into. You'll use those for doing pretty much everything. If you've used desktop applications before, you're probably familiar with this kind of layout. You've got this like menu bar across the top. That shouldn't be particularly surprising to you. Now let's talk about navigation for a second. So you are working on a 3D model, and so looking at that 3D model from one angle is not particularly helpful, right? You need to be able to like rotate the model around, move the model around, zoom in and out, things like that. So let's talk about the controls for doing that. The easiest way to do it is this cube up in the top. This is the most simple kind of way to interface with the angle. This helps you snap to like really orthogonal views. If I want to like a square on front view, or if I want to go around and go to the left side, I can click these little arrows and kind of rotate this around, or click on the faces of the cube and it'll show me that view. You can also use these arrows to rotate. You can also click on this drop down. There are some different preset views, like isometric, dimetric, trimetric, that are kind of all pretty similar. These are useful for like if you want to take a screenshot of your part and kind of something consistent angle that looks nice. Those are useful for that. There's also some other display options in here that we'll show here in a second. There are a whole bunch of mouse controls that you're going to use probably while modeling. So if your mouse has a scroll wheel, which it should, most mice you can click down the scroll wheel, and that's called a middle mouse button. So you've got the left mouse button, the right mouse button, and then the scroll wheel, if you click it, is actually the middle mouse button. If you don't have a mouse that has that feature, you should get one. If you're going to be doing CAD, you are going to need a middle mouse button, so that is very important. But if you scroll the scroll wheel in and out, this will zoom in and out. That's pretty easy. It will zoom where the mouse cursor actually is on the screen. So depending on where you have your mouse, it'll zoom into different things. So basically just point your mouse to what you want to look at and then scroll to zoom in and out. So that's pretty useful. Now, if I just want to slide the model around on the screen, like let's say the model's like way over here to the side and I want it in the middle, I can click and hold the middle mouse button and just drag the mouse, and I can just move the view around. And I'm still holding the mouse button, and then I just let go of the middle mouse button, and then it'll stop. Also, if you get yourself zoomed way out or something is way off to the side, you can either click this zoom to fit button in this little drop down, or you can double middle mouse click, just 2 clicks really quickly, and it will zoom everything to fit nicely inside the screen and it'll center it up. Okay, so now if you want to do what is called orbiting or rotating the view, you're going to press and hold the right mouse button and then move the mouse around. And this will change the view. This will potentially take a little bit of getting used to, because if you're used to like 3D printing software, it will keep up on the model always up, and all you're doing is kind of just like dragging left and right to rotate around. But you can see it's kind of like this model is kind of wobbling and tumbling all over the screen. There's kind of a certain feel to the orbit in CAD that you'll have to get used to, but it is useful. Sometimes you don't want to look at the model upright always. Sometimes you want to turn it on its side and look at it if you've got some tight spaces you're trying to click on things or whatever. So that is a pretty important feature, but it will take some getting used to. There are these controls, I guess, apply in assemblies and part studios. When you're working on drawings, the controls are a little bit different because you're only looking at a flat 2D like piece of paper. You can really only pan and zoom. But these controls are pretty common across all CAD programs. However, there are some slight differences about, what controls do which things, like which keyboard shortcuts and things do what. This particular arrangement is unique to Onshape. Every CAD program kind of has its own paradigms in terms of how these navigation controls are done. If you are coming from another CAD program and you really don't want to get adjusted to Onshapes. Personally, I came from Inventor and SolidWorks, and each of those are different. And then coming to Onshape, I actually really like the way that Onshape does it. It does have some drawbacks, though. Having right mouse button as orbit is pretty nice because Onshape does not have gesture control like SolidWorks and Inventor does. But in SolidWorks and Inventor, they have gestures, and so using the right mouse button for orbit is not super convenient. So if you want to make Onshape work like SolidWorks or work like Inventor or whatever, you can go to your user account and you go to preferences, and you can scroll down to the bottom to where it says mouse controls, and you can pick some defaults. You can pick Onshape, SolidWorks, AutoCAD. They also have ones for NX and Creo. And this like text here in the middle of the screen kind of describes what controls do which things. And this is also where you go to change your unit preferences and things like that. So that is pretty straightforward. I'm going to go back here. So that's pretty much all we've got for this week. Next week, we're going to jump into actually doing some modeling and showing how all these tools across the top work. We're going to do Part Studio modeling first, and then once we do that, we'll move into assembly in a couple of weeks. And then from there, we'll start working on some projects. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.